Hi, I'm Tyson.
And I'm Mike. And we argue with dragons.
Welcome back, listeners. This is Tyson coming at you with another episode of Arguing with Dragons.
I'm also Mike coming at you with another episode of Arguing with Dragons.
Is there an echo in here?
Something like that.
How you doing this week, Mike?
Oh, constantly come home, don't get enough sleep, go back to work the next day.
Well, part of that's my fault. We stayed up way too late last night, listeners, playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, we did.
It was a good game. What'd you like about that? What'd you like about last night's session?
Oh, okay. The part where the orc and the person and the goblins and the big bird.
Like half the game.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
But I discovered that the stonekin have green pea and constant kidney stones.
Oh, it only makes sense.
I mean,
yes, listeners, we've been playing now for several months in a homebrew world of my creation, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yes, it has.
So we've learned quite a bit about this interesting world I've created, and I keep adding to it every day. If that's something that tickles any of your listeners' fancies out there, give us an email, arguingwithdragons@gmail.com. We are looking for feedback, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't care how mean you are, as long as you don't spam my mailbox. I'm just so tired of it saying 0 new messages. It's breaking my heart.
And keep the racial slurs specifically to ancient Mesopotamians.
Oh,
those damn hunter-gatherers.
I know. The nerve of those people.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what are we talking about tonight?
I do believe that we're going to be talking about the PlayStation.
The PlayStation? Who wants to talk about the PlayStation when you have the Nintendo 64?
That actually sounds like a far better topic. Please forgive me.
You're absolutely right. Listeners, we're going to be talking about almost everybody's favorite gaming console, the Nintendo 64.
I think it's everybody's favorite, or else.
Is definitely one of my probably top 3 favorite gaming consoles.
Absolutely.
I don't rank them because it would break my heart to lower one of them to a lower standard than the other, because they all carry very different nostalgia memories. So the Nintendo 64, this released in Japan in June 23rd of 1996, came next to North America September 29th, 1996. To get into the nitty-gritty for all you sweaty nerds out there, the CPU was a blazing 64-bit processor, which at the time was incredibly powerful. NECVR 4300, cranking out a blazing 93.75 megahertz in speed. Whew. So my Windows 95 computer that I first played on at 12 years old had a 133 megahertz processor. Sorry, Nintendo.
Fucking nerd.
Sorry, Nintendo. It was an SGI-based graphics hardware. It had 4 megabytes of memory. 4 megabytes. 4. Unless you bought that little red expansion pack for $69.99 or $59.99 or whatever, which gave you another 4. Oh my gosh. 8 megabytes total in the system.
It was actually included with my copy of Donkey Kong 64.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I believe that was one of the ones that was it required to run?
It was. I think everything released after it was required.
Could
be misremembering, but I do know 3 games specifically did require it.
What games, Mike?
Donkey Kong 64, the aforementioned.
Okay.
Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask required it as well.
Okay.
And then Pokemon Stadium 2, I believe, was the 3rd.
Oh, interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, fact check him. If he's wrong, light his ass on fire.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, point, laugh, and call me fat. Absolutely.
So 8 megabytes, you think by today's standards, I'm sitting here recording this right now on a desktop computer with 32 gigabytes of memory.
I'm sitting with about the same.
In 1995, you didn't have that much RAM in computers or game consoles or anything. And what's beautiful is that the system is a masterpiece in optimization. Because if you couldn't optimize your game to run on 8 megabytes of RAM, you weren't entering the console wars, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. You weren't a viable game for these folks.
You weren't good enough for the cool kids table.
No, do you even go to this school? The N64 was a cartridge-based system Everything came on those nice little semi-square with the rounded top cartridges. Built in 4 controller ports, which at the time was new and exciting. 4 people could play games simultaneously. This was
Yes,
the
they
first
could.
this was the first mainstream system to have a fully functional controller with an analog stick on top of it.
Take that, Sony.
Yeah, take that, Atari, you coining your analog sticks and all that. Well, Nintendo had to one up you by having a single analog stick to roll around with your thumb. Now, I'm not sure if they were the first to offer vibration feedback in their controllers. That would be something you can fact check me on, but they did have the Rumble Pack, which at the time seemed pretty damn new to me. So tell me, Mike, your first experience with the Nintendo 64.
My first experience with it, not playing it, was Christmas Eve, 1996.
Oh,
My folks had taken my sister and I to our church to go to our annual Christmas Eve gathering. It was a Presbyterian church, so we didn't have mass. We weren't cool like that. But I noticed when we were at church, Grandma and Grandpa were notably absent for the first part of the service. I was a little curious, but I didn't worry about it too much. There was grape juice and crackers to be had. And then when they walked in, I was all excited to see them, and they just had the biggest shit-eating grins on their faces. Little did I know that they were having a conversation with Santa Claus.
the Santa Claus?
The Santa Claus, Saint Nick Oposishaw himself. And after the church service, we went home just like any other year. We ambled in the door, little 7-year-old me and little 5-year-old my sister. And we happened upon the sight of a lifetime. Christmas tree decked out and decorated. Tons and tons of presents wrapped under 'em. And right there in the middle, unwrapped, as though to let the world see, gorgeous Nintendo 64. And another box with a secondary controller so my sister and I could play together.
Wow. That's a beautiful story, Mike.
It's not done yet, Dick. You ruined it.
He really paints a picture, doesn't he, ladies and gentlemen?
You just had to walk in and smear the paint too, didn't you? Now nobody gets to hear it.
You were getting a little monologue. So I had a similar experience with the Nintendo, and I'm trying to think back hard now to exactly when
You said hard.
I did. I believe it was January of 97 or maybe even December of 97. I can't remember if it was a Christmas or a birthday present. And I received my first Nintendo 64. And I was over the moon. I was so excited. I had wanted it more than anything. I got it with a copy of Mario 64 that came with it and a copy of Star Fox 64, which later became one of my all-time favorite games ever. I was overjoyed. I had this little silly little console TV that wasn't really a TV. It was more like a computer monitor that looked like a TV.
They all did back then.
That I played all my games on. And, man, it was something else. You look at that controller, man, and it just looks like, look at all those buttons.
So
It's
many
even got
buttons.
a button on the back. I mean, as a kid, I was just like, ooh, best feeling ever.
We were both just so elated.
I know. And you know what that did, Mike?
What did that do?
It blinded us.
It did.
It blinded us to the shortcomings that this system had.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Now, before you flame me, listeners, we're going to talk about everything wrong with the Nintendo 64.
It does seem to be a pattern with us.
It does. It
Shitting
does.
all over the things that we love and then cleaning them up with a nice washcloth.
Well, can you really ever truly love something without being a little bit critical of it?
Absolutely.
Name one thing.
My cats?
You mean to tell me you're never critical of your cats?
No.
They're never assholes.
No.
They never shit outside their box.
No.
They never scratch you, bite you, wake you up at night.
Just how they show that they love me.
Well, I'm going to show the Nintendo 64 right now how much I love it. This was a system, folks, that was technically ahead of its time. It was very advanced and in typical Nintendo fashion, had new and innovative features. However, in typical Nintendo fashion, they were strategically behind everybody else.
Emphasis on strategic.
A lot of people don't know this, but Sony actually helped develop the Nintendo 64. Nintendo and Sony worked together on its construction. And at the last minute, Sony pulled out of the agreement deal and released the PlayStation. Because at the time, Nintendo was planning on releasing a CD upgrade for the Nintendo 64. So if you ever had one of these consoles, ladies and gentlemen, flip it over and look on the bottom. And there's this big expansion port on the bottom. Looks like a big old rectangle. Something you'd hook a 1980s style printer up to.
Now, I have some vague memories from my childhood of seeing that and wondering what the hell it was.
I don't believe they even released it in Japan. This was a demonstration only device that may have gotten released out in the wild shortly after. But when that happened, Nintendo was solely committed at that point to cartridges. And that just killed it for the N64. I mean, you had a system that had all these great features, this innovative controller, and the love and hearts of children everywhere. And then you force it onto little tiny cartridges. I mean,
I can tell you one good thing about cartridges.
what's that?
You could beat the hell out of them and they would work just fine.
Every time you look at them, they tell you to blow me.
Exactly, but with a CD, you just glance at it too difficultly and boom, scratch, now your game is worthless.
You are right there. I believe cartridges are more durable than
Hell of a lot
CDs.
more durable. They got that nice plastic shell on them to protect all the guts and important parts. Kind of like how our rib cage protects our hearts
Have
from
you ever
being corrupted by Sony.
Have you ever taken one of those cartridges apart?
Once,
It is about 80% empty.
yes it is.
It's just a very small chip on the bottom with the connectors that actually plays all your childhood memories.
Yes indeed. But that design is, well, by design.
That's true.
You gotta be able to pull it in and out, right?
That's what she said.
Yeah, it is.
So that made these cartridges more expensive to manufacture. It sent a lot of third-party developers off to Sony so that they could work on the PlayStation, especially considering you couldn't really put full motion videos on a cartridge anymore because there just wasn't enough storage space. So every time you saw a video, it was in-game graphics,
Yes
Which-
indeed.
which is actually, kind of cool though, to be honest. It resulted in a really small library though. I believe there were only 388 games ever released in North America.
That sounds about right to me.
I couldn't tell you 327 of them,
I
but
could tell you quite a few, but nothing
Several
I've
of
played
them.
more than half.
several of them have definitely stuck out with me over the years.
Oh, for sure.
PlayStation, on the other hand, thousands of titles, thousands of third-party developers developing all kinds of absolute hot garbage on the PlayStation.
There is an industry term for it. Shovelware.
You're right. Almost forgot about that term, actually.
Yeah, it's not really all that common anymore because everything's downloadable. If you don't want it, you don't buy it, you don't download it, you never have to even look at it. Even free games online, on Steam, for instance, they make the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation both look like they were made in the Stone Age.
That's true. There are things you can do in the Unreal 5 engine once you have the engine downloaded, and it just makes these old games look like absolute poop.
Absolutely. In fact, there's one guy out there who has been rebuilding Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time completely from scratch in Unreal 5.
How's he come along with that?
I'm not totally sure. It's been a long time since I've checked it. How about I go ahead and do that right now? You go on and continue talking. I will be right back.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now that Mike is no longer paying attention, I think we can say nasty things about his mother.
Well, I'm still paying
Um,
attention. I'm just typing.
Oh, Mike's mom, if you're ever listening out there, you are a nice woman, and I'm just teasing.
Somehow I don't think she will ever listen.
No, I don't either. But the last time I ran into your mother, Mike, she talked my ear off.
Well, she's a mom. She does that.
That's fair. That's fair. So the controller. But let's start there because that controller is iconic, and I know how much you love that word. It's your favorite word to use. But if you were gracious enough to have the yellow controller that I believe that came with Donkey Kong, this shit looked like 3 bananas tied together. I mean, what the hell were they thinking when they created this controller? What went through their mind?
Well, I'm assuming that whoever created the controller, the actual designer, had just eaten a big bowl of pretzels and got confused and was like, let's make a pretzel, but with a dick on it.
I mean, it does kind of have a little bit of that shape, doesn't it?
It does, more so than most controllers, except for the joystick on the Atari.
I think it kind of looks like, when I look at it from an angle, it kind of looks like a Klingon bird of prey, or like the green one looking like a Romulan battle cruiser from Star Trek.
Fucking nerd.
I know. I just can't help myself.
Alrighty, looking at Cryzen. Ocarina of Time 2023 version has 12 levels included. That tells me that it is a mostly finished product.
Very nice. You think Nintendo's going to sue him and shut it down?
Oh, almost guaranteed at this point.
Well, I guess he's not selling it for money, right?
No, it's free download.
Nice.
But never underestimate the greed of big corporations.
No, they are very greedy, ladies and gentlemen.
That they
You
are.
have no idea how much money I have to pay just to make this podcast happen.
Quite a lot.
For all 3 of you listening.
Yeah.
So, the controller. You know, it honestly is shaped like 3 dicks with a little joystick in the middle and the awkward button in the back. Now, I see what they were trying to do with that awkward back button. It's definitely supposed to be a trigger button, you know, they called it the Z trigger.
Yes, they did. However, I did find something out.
What's that?
They named it the Z trigger for a very specific reason. Because the Nintendo 64 was the first foray into 3D gaming, wherein they included a Z axis.
Clever.
Yeah. X and Y axis are left and right and front and back, but the Z axis was up and down.
Yeah.
So yeah, they cleverly named it.
My
It's
mind
something
is blowing, listeners.
Something I just realized.
What's that?
The Nintendo 64 controller, it's shaped
Mhm.
exactly like the R-Wing from Star Fox.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
The R-Wing is a triangle with a
No,
small
it's
triangle on the back.
not.
It certainly is. And it has 2 little propeller wings, and it has a nose that sticks way farther out from the front. I should know because one of my, what do you call that? A stem is to draw the R-Wing from Star Fox on Super NES over and over again in 2 dimensions. And then when I, of course, got into the 64-bit era, I started drawing it in 3 dimensions. And to this day, if I have a pen and a notepad in front of me and I need to doodle something, I usually draw that stupid ship over and over again.
No, well, you know.
Tell me you're autistic, ladies and gentlemen, without telling me you're autistic.
I like turtles.
So this controller, like I said, it's iconic, but it's also a little insane. Like,
Where the hell do you
mean,
put your hands?
I know. How do I hold this thing? Do I hold it on the left side and then stretch my thumb over to the middle to control it? Do I hold it in the middle and then stretch my finger up to do the up, down, right, left? Do I hold it all the time with my right hand? And the answer to all these questions, ladies and gentlemen, is yes. That's
Yeah,
what's fucked
absolutely.
up about it. Now,
Although I would say I can almost guarantee that there was a method to the madness and a real thought put into the design.
oh, I'm sure there was. I mean,
Every button had a function except for the L.
this is an incredibly versatile and useful controller. Like, you can do so much with it. And
It's
it
not
was
all at the same time.
Very true. It was built for flight games. I feel like whoever built this, literally, they built it with Pilot Wing 64 in mind.
Mm.
And that was one of the games that were launched with it. Those are the
Yeah.
only 2 games that launched. It was Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64.
Yes, indeed.
And comparing Pilot Wing 64 to Pilot Wing on Super Nintendo, like,
It's
it is
apples and oranges.
a total mind blow. I still prefer the old Super Nintendo version, to be honest.
Because you're
But
a hipster.
a little bit. I'm just a nostalgia prisoner, that's all.
That you are.
So I know the system wasn't obviously, we're talking about a system that came out in 1997, folks. But the graphics, I mean, it literally looked like somebody painted a picture and then just smeared Vaseline all over it.
Yeah.
And I know that's like every Monday night for Michael while we were recording these podcasts.
It's
But
on you, tough guy. I'm allergic to Vaseline.
that leads me to so many questions.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
If you ever notice, there's something about the Nintendo 64 that other consoles don't do, but lots of games have fog in them.
Yeah.
Lots of games use the distortion method because it could not render the distance required that you could see in these games. And so they use fog to obscure it. Prime example of this, go try to play Superman on Nintendo 64.
Oh, please do not try.
Yes, please don't. Whatever you do, avoid that game at all costs. Do not spend money on it. And if you feel like I'm being too hard on it, I'm not. Go look up a brilliant YouTuber, the Angry Video Game Nerd, and look up his Superman episode.
Well, that's
And
kind of unfair because he gets angry at literally every game he plays, including the excellent ones.
yes, however, he showcases the problems with that game pretty in depth.
That he
And I
does.
mean, unless you really enjoy flying through rings for no apparent reason, I mean, that's all I ever see Superman do in the movies, right? Is fly through rings.
Yeah. I mean, no talk of his super strength or his laser vision or anything. It's always those damn rings.
I think this Z Trigger would have been so cool if you were walking around, you just tap that button and it just laser shoots people and they explode.
Yep.
And that's the fun Superman game I want to play.
That would be fun. But there is bad news and then there's worse news, Tyson.
What's that?
Superman 64 was not alone.
Oh,
Aquaman Battle for Atlantis on the GameCube came out almost a decade and a half later, and it was the exact same game,
what?
but with updated graphics.
Did he swim through rings?
Yup,
Oh, God.
and almost exclusively that.
Oh, God.
You would think that Nintendo learned their lesson.
I don't think they did. I don't think they produced that game.
Not at all. That was, I do believe, done by another company. I'm not totally sure, and I'm not going to look it up because I'm not being paid to do so.
That's fair. Nobody's paying us to do this podcast, folks.
Yeah, you're right. We do this strictly out of love of the medium and love of the game.
I do. I've been having a lot of fun just talking about shit with you. I
Absolutely.
looked forward to it all day during my 12-hour workday.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it since last week.
Yeah.
I win.
Yeah, I win. So the Nintendo lost so many RPGs because
That they
of this
did.
console.
That they did.
So let's talk about a few of the RPGs they didn't lose.
All right.
Think of one classic style platform RPG on Nintendo 64.
All right. The Legend
Can
of
you?
Dragon. Oh.
That's PlayStation.
Secret of Man. Oh.
Oh,
Pokemon. Oh. I think you're right.
actually, I can name one.
Which one?
Quest 64.
Ooh. Not your classic RPG style, but by golly.
It
Shining
was-
example.
I believe that that RPG could qualify as a technical platform. Yes, you could move three-dimensionally around the battlefield. If you've never played this game, folks, you play as this sweet little Scottish boy.
Irish.
Oh, Scottish, Irish, same diff. I'm
Racist.
sure. He looks like he tied his belt to his forehead, and he carries around a walking stick, and he's on a quest. I believe it's his grandfather he's looking
His
for.
father.
Oh, his father.
His
And-
father, the wizard.
And you run around the world looking for your dad. And I know as heartbreaking as that might be for some of you folks, he didn't just go out for a pack of cigarettes. He ran as far as he could. And now you're on a quest to go find him. What's cool is as you're walking through this game in this world, of course, the landscape is beautiful and everything looks great around you. But then all of a sudden, the music will just kick on and it'll go straight to a dun 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 dun. And, in classic platform RPGs, the screen would change to a flat two-dimensional window where you fought. And you fought through a menu selection to say, I'm going to attack, or I'm going to cast a spell, or I'm going to shit my pants, whatever.
Eastern turn-based RPGs, absolutely.
Classic turn-based, yes. So Quest changed that up a little bit. So wherever you were on the map, that became the battlefield. And they cordoned it off with like a giant laser ring. And you had your own little smaller ring inside, which designated how far you could run during your turn. So you could run around that ring and you could cast spells, and some of the spells could reach the opponents outside the ring. Some were more direct damage up front, like right in front of you. Or you could choose to walk up and hit them with your stick. All were great options. The monsters were unique and challenging. There were some things in there that were very challenging. I remember as a small child throwing my controller down multiple times trying to play that game and beat it, which is honestly one of the few games that I've actually had the brain power and focus to actually beat from start to finish.
Absolutely.
But
I beat it too. However, I beat it on hardcore mode.
It didn't have a hardcore
unwittingly.
mode.
Hardcore mode being I didn't use any magic. I only hit things with the stick.
Oh,
Because
God,
I
that would
thought
be
that's how you played the game.
that would be so boring. But yeah, when I do remember when I first ran through that game, I didn't realize I had to go look for the little spirits that were flying around to add to my to my magic pool to unlock the abilities.
Yeah.
And then when I went back later in life and I played it again, I was like, holy shit, I'm wielding some really powerful spells. And I had no idea that even existed the first time around.
Well, it didn't give you any direction.
No.
Unless
That-
you purchased the game and had the instruction booklet, you were flying blind.
You were.
Same
And
could be said about any game of the era.
that is something I feel like we're never going to get back
No, we will
in
not.
the gaming world, because every game now, the tutorial is built into the first level. It teaches you how to play from start to finish.
Yes,
And
indeed.
I guess as games get more advanced, you need a more advanced tutorial, I suppose. But yeah, just bring back the instruction manual that told a little bit about the story, and I don't know. But can you name another RPG? Another good platform style RPG?
Another good RPG. Not really.
So how about non-platform RPGs, adventure style RPGs?
Even less so.
Even less?
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, Majora's
That wasn't
Mask.
an RPG.
Those were RPGs.
Those were action adventure games.
I think they fall under the RPG genre, though.
I would argue that. Because you don't have any kind of... Well, the same could be said for Quest 64. You don't really have any agency in creating your character.
That's true, but you're
With
still
Quest
assuming
64, you have a little more agency in how you want to build your character with the spell system.
So that opens up a bigger question, though. That would mean that any RPG where you didn't have a character creator is no longer an RPG?
I would say not.
Well, see, I think you're going to catch some heat for that.
Well, RPG stands for role-playing game, and you play a role in whatever game you're playing, absolutely.
Yes, but you're assuming the role of Mario. You're assuming the role of Link. Technically, any game could be an RPG.
Exactly. You're assuming the role of silent protagonist B in whatever game you just downloaded on Steam an hour ago.
I feel like I just put you on the opposite side of your own argument.
A little bit. Opposite
So-
side, however, only as reinforcements against my own arguments. But at the same time, I will still say that Zelda was not an RPG.
Oh, fair enough. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion and everybody's allowed to be wrong. It's fine. So what do you think is really wrong with the N64, Mike?
Well, my biggest issue with it was that it got a little too big for its britches in a lot of cases. Case in point, with what we already discussed, the CD port. They promised a lot. They overpromised and underdelivered in a lot of aspects. Planned and canceled sequels, etc.
What sequels are you referring to?
There was supposed to be a third Zelda game.
Oh, didn't they have like the movement and the stuff programmed for that? I thought I saw a video of that.
Yes, they had a direct sequel to the Ocarina of Time that was not Majora's Mask, ready for launch almost. And then the console generation decided to move up a step. Then that game was scrapped because they ran out of time. And then they released The Wind Waker on the new GameCube.
Ooh, the GameCube, where we can't even have a full-size CD.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that bothered me heavily about the GameCube. Load time and a tiny little CD.
Well, load times weren't all that bad.
Well, you know what you didn't have on the Nintendo 64?
Any load time.
Cartridges were instant access, baby. Wave of the future right there. And you know what's fun? All the consoles later that have gone back to using SD cards now
Yeah.
and direct access memory like that are now getting more storage space than a CD and eliminating load time almost completely.
And the
So
only console that does that is the Switch.
that's true. Oh, didn't the PSP have like this funky CD cartridge combo thing?
Yes, it did, but who remembers the PSP?
Oh, me.
There was only one person in my school that had a PSP, and he got beat up relentlessly.
I have never
Are
owned a
the
PSP.
are the two related? Probably not, but you can't rule it out.
Yeah. Correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. So,
Yep. Okay, so I have a definitive here.
all right.
Although the games contain role-playing elements, i.e. A Legend of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is the only one to include an experience system, they emphasize straightforward hack-and-slash style combat, which is non-RPG.
So the definition of RPG is gaining experience to level up.
Basically,
That's the standard, huh?
an RPG is defined by playing a character within a fictional world, focusing on player choice, deep progression systems like leveling, stats, skills, a strong narrative story, a meaningful character development, often through exploration and quests, though mechanics vary from turn-based to real-time. The core is embodying a role and shaping that character's growth and story rather than just linear action, which is what Zelda is. Rather linear action.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuning into Webster's Dictionary, Arguing with Dragons.
More of a pedia than a shenary, just saying.
So what you're saying is the Nintendo 64 really sucks, huh?
Well, I wouldn't say it sucked. It was just kind of limited for its time and didn't really make a lot of good choices
You
with
know,
the
I
short
feel
span of time that it had.
I feel like Nintendo does this to us every time. This brilliant ahead of its time design, and they dangle it in front of you with all the possibility and all the promise. And as they're dangling and you're looking up at it with longing, they turn around and kick you in the nuts and be like, "Psych! It can only do this, this, and this." And then before it can really meet its full potential, they put out another console.
That they did.
I feel like it's just a constant pattern. And, you know, this turd sitting in that little gray box with a $60 expansion port and 4 controllers dangling out of it. This is a turd, ladies and gentlemen, I will not flush. I still have that Nintendo 64 from that January of '97.
And so do I for mine from 1996.
It is a timeless system, and it is responsible for so many good memories.
Absolutely.
Maybe not as many good games, but so many good memories. So let's talk about, Mike, this system isn't shit. It is awesome. And let's talk to our listeners about why they should definitely find a N64 at their next garage sale, the next flea market, and plug that bad boy in.
Sounds like a plan to me, sir.
So if you're obsessed with multiplayer games, but you don't like the idea of playing against strangers, or if you really want to make your kids at home cry, set up an N64, make them play you at Mario Kart. I guarantee you'll make a little kid cry.
Or make them play at Goldeneye.
Oh, GoldenEye. I, you know, I liked GoldenEye on single player. Did not care for it on multiplayer.
Well, the multiplayer Goldeneye was the absolute first foray into first-person shooter multiplayer.
I'm pretty sure that Smash Brothers has probably been responsible for more fist fights than any other game on the Nintendo 64.
Well, you'd be wrong because people that play Super Smash Brothers are afraid to actually fight in real life.
Oh, well, I mean, look at the target audience.
Nerds.
Exactly. So 4 controllers could plug into this console. That meant you could have a 4-way split screen battle royale with your friends.
Instead of getting laid.
That's assuming you had 4 friends. Because right now, if I gathered all of our listeners up, we wouldn't even have enough to do a four-way battle royale. No, you didn't need a multi-tap. You didn't need any of that fancy shit that they had put out in other consoles. Everybody wanted to stay the night at the kid who had a Nintendo 64's house.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, you pushed the envelope.
They did push the envelope, and that 4-player game that everybody loved, that Mario Kart, the GoldenEye, even Star Fox, it was just wonderful. Now, PlayStation had 2 controller ports, but here's the fun part. Throughout the life cycle of the PS1, Sony sent out an accessory for it, wherein you could plug it into your TV and add this accessory to the back, which allowed you to daisy chain another PlayStation to it and plug in 2 more controllers to play the same game with 4 people. But here's the issue. You needed 2 TVs, 2 PlayStations, 4 controllers, and 2 copies of the same game one in each PlayStation.
Well, that would get cashy.
Massively complicated, overly expensive, and just not worth it.
And
The
ladies and
64
gentlemen,
had it in spades.
exactly. This was a social console. This was the console you got to enjoy a game console with your friends.
That it
And
was.
This is wonderful, beautiful thing. I mean, if you played Donkey Kong 64, even that had a multiplayer option, and you could literally tap out with your friends and like right there on the same screen. Star Fox 64, one of my favorite games ever, 4-way split screen. One dude could be sitting on the ground with a bazooka, one could be in the tank, one could be flying through the sky. And yeah, you piss off a lot of people when you kill them, but who's counting?
I mean, if you were running around on the ground with a bazooka, you got targeted first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who do you think was the most influential publisher on the N64?
Nintendo themselves, I would imagine. But close second, Rareware.
Rareware definitely carried that system, didn't it?
It did, and I'll tell you what, when you mentioned when you got your Nintendo and it came with Mario 64, mine did not.
Oh, really?
Mine did not. Mine came with Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think
One of Rareware's best games.
I think you had a choice between the two.
I do believe so too as well, but my parents chose correctly, in my opinion.
See, I would differ. I didn't like Banjo-Kazooie that much.
Well, that's because you and I were raised in 2 very different households with 2 very different family values. Yours were wrong.
Okay. Nintendo historically has been the family system, and Rareware released a game on this console called Conker's Bad Fur Day. Have you ever played that game, Mike?
Until the cartridge wore away.
I have never played this game directly, but I have watched other folks play it online, and it has definitely piqued my interest. This game
Let me
had
tell you, dude.
poop jokes, sex jokes. Did it outright swear?
Well, that's a complicated question. Because in some cases, you'd hear a censorship beep on some words. You know what words were being said, but they beeped it anyway. Other points, they'd say the same words completely uncensored.
That's fascinating.
There was an element of randomness to it. Occasionally, they'd say, oh, and other times they'd say, shit.
So I just pulled up a a Reddit post here called "What's Your Opinion on Conker's Bad Fur Day?" And we've got a post here by a gentleman named Clive Morris 8 months ago. When you considered the cartridge only contained 64 megs of data, the game is nothing short of a work of art.
Not only a work of art, a work of fart.
That's exactly what you'd hear in that game.
Exactly. Along with I am the great mighty Pooh, and I'm going to throw my shit at you.
That was in the game, wasn't it?
It most certainly was. You fought the beast of Pooh Mountain, who was an opera singing pile of turds who you had to feed sweet corn.
Wow. And this was a licensed game put out by Nintendo.
That
By
it
Rareware.
was.
If you know anything about Nintendo, they just don't do that anymore. I don't think they ever did that before, and I don't know that they've ever really done that since.
I'm sure there have been plenty of Nintendo games with swearing and sex jokes and all that.
That'll be something maybe we'll talk about in a short sometime.
Perhaps. Adults only games, why not?
So I feel like PlayStation. Now don't get me wrong. I loved my PS1.
Ew.
I saved a lot of money to buy that thing, and I bought it much later in life. I think in middle school is when I bought it.
Gross.
And I bought it solely for Final Fantasy VII.
Still gross.
You can say that, but that's like my absolute top favorite game of all time.
I know, it's not the game that I'm saying gross about, it's the PlayStation.
What do you have against PlayStations, Mike?
Well, for one, the game sucked. They figured, hey, we'll just dump out thousands of games. One of them will be a hit. And they were right. One of them was a hit. And that was Final Fantasy VII. What are you tapping away about?
Oh, there were over 4,000 officially released physical titles on the PS1.
All right. I want you to look away
Worldwide.
from your screen right now.
Okay.
Name 5 games that were PlayStation exclusive in the PS1 era.
5 games, PS1 era, PlayStation exclusive. Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm.
This is where my memory fails me.
Yep.
There were so many.
Now, let's do the same thing. Nintendo 64.
Oh, Mario,
Mm-hmm.
Star Fox,
Okay.
Zelda,
Yep.
Wave Race.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was definitely not exclusive. Well, GoldenEye. Yes, you're correct. The
I'll
games
name
are
5 more. Mystical Ninja Goemon, Quest 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Smash Brothers, and Donkey Kong.
Yeah, those. You're right.
Look at that.
No.
We both did 5 different games each, all of which were excellent.
Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer, not a good game necessarily, but you know.
So what I'm getting at though is the PS1 had volume.
Yes, they did.
If you wanted to play a different kind of game every day of the week, PS1 was your system. And that's cool. I mean, you had cool videos between your things. You used what were those called?
FMV,
FMVs.
full motion video.
That was just cool. Like that was like I remember seeing them for the first time on my PS1, and I was mind blown with
Mm-hmm.
how cool they looked. I was like, I've only ever seen this show on a computer game.
Yeah.
And those weren't even that good at the time. But the N64 had personality.
Yes, it did.
It was a console that you just kept going back to over and over again. And I'll just, when mine started showing signs of not working anymore, I was just devastated.
If I could find mine right now, it's in one of these boxes from when we moved back in November, potentially in our storage unit.
Oh man, you better find that puppy and get it cleaned up, get it in a safe spot.
Don't you worry, sir. Once I find it, I'm going to enshrine it in my entertainment center.
So I've since mine, I keep it safe and keep it sacred in a plastic tote. Instead, I put together a little computer box with a Linux distribution on it called Betocera. And for all you non-sweaty nerds out there, what this thing does is it emulates roughly, 80 different game consoles, and it's built into a computer, a regular desktop computer. and it's controlled by a game controller. So when you turn it on, you just tell it, you cycle through the menu of what system you want to play. And Nintendo 64 is right there.
That it is.
And
When are you going to make one of those for me?
I don't know. I'll get around to it
I
as soon as I get
appreciate
old.
it, man. You are a great friend.
But what's fascinating to me is, it's 2026 right now, and this thing can play these games on old junky computer hardware better than they ever played on the actual Nintendo 64 console. And they can even convert the graphics all the way to 1080p, and it smooths out the lines. You no longer feel like you're looking at Vaseline smeared glasses at your TV. It's really cool.
No, you're still looking at polygons.
And while you might have certain feelings on ROMs and all that stuff, I own the games that I play on the ROMs. I'm sorry, Nintendo, you don't sue me. But I own the games, and but this allowed me to go to my wife's daughter. She's 9 years old, has never seen a Nintendo 64, had never even known Mario Kart 64 existed until I showed her. And this girl sat there for a week straight practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing until she's like, "I'm ready to play you, Dad." Nearly curb stomped me. It was
Tyson got beat by a 9-year-old.
It's incredible. I'm okay with that because this girl put her heart and
Yeah.
soul into practice,
Be
and
proud, dude.
I am so proud. And then of course my wife picks it up and she finds Cruising USA
Ooh,
and fell in
another
love
good title.
immediately and started immediately racing. She's like, "I used to play this in the arcade all the time." And so I'd come home from work there that first week I had it set up, and they'd both be sitting in front of the TV just playing away.
You'll make a
And
nerd out of her yet.
I will. And that's the thing about the Nintendo 64, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't the best console of its generation. And in the console war, it may not have won, but it definitely won our childhood.
It held its own ground very admirably, and we all adore it for it.
I do. I definitely adore it. So, listeners, send us an email, arguingwithdragons@gmail.com. I want to hear what your favorite Nintendo 64 game was. I want to hear your first memory and experience with that console, if you've had one, or, even if you've never played one and you're interested in finding one, let me know. I'll happily help you source one out. If just send us an email over and let us know.
That's once again, arguingwithdragons@gmail.com.
Yes, arguingwithdragons@gmail.com.
Visit us at arguingwithdragons@gmail.com.
Where all your favorite podcasts go to die.
At gmail.com, preceded by Arguing with Dragons.
Oh, Mike, this has been a good episode.
I would say so.
Really makes me want to go upstairs and plug in my console and break out Gauntlet Legends.
Makes me want to rifle through all my shit and find my 64, but my wife and kid are sleeping.
Before we devolve our conversation, what was your least favorite N64 game?
Least favorite?
Yeah, what was just a steaming pile of shit that you don't want to ever play again?
Well, we've already talked about it. Superman 64.
See, I never even bothered.
I was a kid. I didn't know any better. I begged my parents, "Hey, there's this Superman game out there. I really like Superman. Let's play it." And now I'm a Marvel fan.
Definitely did it.
Coincidence? Possibly.
You want to hear pure anxiety at its peak?
Go for it.
Blast Corps 64.
Blast Corps. Never played that one.
So Blast Corps was like a demolition game. And the plot of the game was that a nuclear missile is being transported on a vehicle, and the vehicle is stuck in motion. And the radiation is so strong around the vehicle that they can't just go up to it and stop it. So you have to assume the role of somebody in a bulldozer or jumpsuit or some other destruction device. And you had to go destroy all the buildings that were in the path of this nuclear missile. And I know I'm probably oversimplifying it. I'm sure there was much more to the game. But for a little kid who already had this nasty fear of nuclear war and bombs going off because of watching Terminator 2, Judgment Day, way too many times as a kid. This game was so fucking stressful. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrifying. Terrifying.
I'll tell you what, hardest game I ever played, but I would still go back to was Jet Force Gemini.
Oh, I've heard of that, but I can't even put a thought into what it looks like.
It was another Rareware property where, well, you played either as a guy, a girl, or a dog with wheels.
A dog with wheels?
Imagine a tank with a dog's head sticking out the front of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, tank treads. But the guy character looked a lot like an upgraded Mega Man. Blue
Okay.
helmet and everything. But it was a third-person shooter where you cleared planets of alien bugs, basically. And I'll tell you what, the AI in it was pretty intense. Even as an adult, if I were to play it, I feel like I'd have some difficulty. It was not an easy game to play.
Jet
But-
Force Gemini.
Yes, sir. Another one that I proudly beat was Glover.
Oh, Glover. I remember Glover.
Oh, yeah. That game was not easy. Having to do platforming with a bouncing ball, having to bounce your way upstairs and stuff, and one fall and you're dead, the ball gets hit, you're gone. It was not an easy game to play, but I happily and proudly beat it.
One of my most disappointed moments on the console was the release of Killer Instinct's follow-up on the N64.
Killer Instinct had so much potential
It was
to
my
be Mortal
favorite.
Kombat.
It was my favorite fighting game. I looked at Mortal Kombat and I was like, oh, those peasants are playing their peasant game. Well, I'm playing the real fighting game.
Yep, and, I actually downloaded and played the Mortal Kombat, the newest game in the series on the Xbox Arcade the other day.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago, I want to say I played it. And I can tell you, the best thing about it was the soundtrack. Which, by the way, a lot of fucking bangers in that soundtrack. I'm telling you.
Ooh.
And you know what, Tyson?
What?
Before you go to bed, I want you to look up the Saberwolf theme. It's called Lycanthropy. It is
I know that
fucking
song.
beautiful.
I think I know that song you're talking. I think I know that. Saberwolf was an awesome character. I liked
Yeah.
Cinder. Cinder was my favorite.
Cinder was cool, but to me, Saberwolf will always have a place in my little
When-
gothic heart.
When Cinder didn't make it to the N64 version, I wept.
Well, I only ever played Killer Instinct on the Game Boy with any frequency. I played it a couple of times on the
Game Boy?
64. Yeah. Yeah, there was a Game Boy port of the original game.
Game Boy?
Game Boy.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that one up, guys. Holy cow!
It's
I can't
very
imagine the Game Boy.
unintuitive.
I can't imagine the Game Boy handling that game.
Well, anyway, when I played this game on the Xbox, I button mashed on top difficulty and won. Consistently.
Wow.
You know, how far the Titans have fallen.
For sure. For sure. Well, Mike, what are we going to talk about next week?
I don't know. What should we talk about next week?
I don't know. I think this time we're going to leave it a mystery, folks.
Or Pokemon?
Or Pokemon. You want to talk about Pokemon?
I don't see why not.
Well, okay. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Pokemon.
From the very beginnings to the utter and horrible downfall.
Well, Mike might talk about the horrible and utter downfall part, but I can talk to you with some confidence about at least the first 151 Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, those are the only ones that I can actually even commit to memory anymore.
I wonder, maybe one day we'll get a guest on and we'll talk with our guest about Pokemon.
Potentially.
Be like, why did I come to this podcast to talk to two grown men about little kids who play with monsters?
Well, I mean, hey, if Pokemon were real, you can't tell me you would not be all about that shit.
Oh, if Pokemon were real, I feel like it would turn into Pal World real quick.
Or, the world would just end.
You know what Pal World did?
What's that?
the monsters that it created, they didn't only just fight, but they became like slave labor, and you could build all kinds of manufacturing facilities.
I mean, that's what Pokemon was from the very beginning. It was enslaving animals and making them fight each other for our entertainment.
Hey, Ash really loved his Pokemon, okay?
Well, until they were not relevant to the story.
Well, that's fair. Then they went into a little ball and disappeared. All these things and more, folks, will be talking about next week when we discuss animal cruelty in video games.
Make sure PETA hears nothing about this.
All right, folks. This has been fun. Get out your N64s. Get them played. Get them dusted off. Send
Show
us
them
your,
the love that my dad never showed me.
yes, send us your favorite games at arguingwithdragons@gmail.com. Stay tuned next week as we talk about Pokemon.
Yeah.
All right,
And I should
guys.
clarify, I love my dad and he loves me.
Yeah,
Truly. I was joking.
your dad is definitely a good man,
Yeah.
but I also don't think he'll ever listen to our podcast.
Almost guaranteed.
Oh, well, you can join all the rest of the people that aren't. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, folks. It's been real. It's been fun. This is Tyson
And this is Mike.
signing off. Have a good night.
Signing
guys.
off.